Hey, what's up, cliffsthingers? Welcome back to another video. I'm really okay today. I am okay today. Are you okay today? I'm okay today. I wanted to talk about body language and reading body language. This is something that has been fascinating me for the longest time in my life. I just learn about it because I'm just curious about it, and I have been learning about it in passing for probably 10 years just for fun. I was thinking about also having a good source and having cited sources in this video, and it would be better to have that. However, I think it's impractical in this case because I've learned it from multiple sources over a span of many years. So I can't really narrow it down to a couple of sources. I can't really find all the sources either, and I don't want to be like, oh, I found it from here when I really didn't. So I would say the main source that I did learn body language from is from a couple books. The one that I remember the most is What Everybody Is Saying by Joe Navarro. If you really want to get into body language and reading minds, I think that's a good book to get into because it was pretty good for me as far as I know. So I think it's important to learn body language because I've had multiple communications and multiple interactions where I found that a lot of people are giving away more information than I think they want to when they're communicating with me. And I think it's a lot better to understand and know, and so you're not letting yourself doing that constantly. Honestly, I think it's best to just be honest all the time when you're communicating. That's kind of what I strive to be, is always just saying mostly what I really think and what I believe. Of course, it's going to be a somewhat filtered down to be more appropriate depending on the situation, but for the most part, I'm going to express exactly how I feel about a situation, or or share my opinions about a certain thing. It's also important, I think, because it's going to help you with your emotional intelligence, how you communicate in your personal relationships. Overall, it just makes communication a lot better. And you'll be more confident when it comes to communicating because you know the ins and outs and you feel more comfortable about communicating. Without further ado, I'm going to teach you some things that I've learned about body language and how it can help you read people's minds. The first thing is smiling. There's a fake smile and there's a real smile. How can you tell if a smile is genuine and a smile that is not genuine? Well, a smile that is genuine is not going to be like, you're not going to smile and then have like a really wide eyes. That's not a real smile. A real smile is when you smile and your eyes crinkle a little bit, your eyes get a little smaller, and everything kind of stretches out a little bit, and there's no disconnect between what's on the top and what's on the bottom. Because if you look at pictures of a fake smile, if you block the top, you see the smile, and you block the bottom and you see these eyes that could be murderous or weird or just scary. That's not a real smile. You gotta understand that's not a real smile. The second thing I want to talk about is eye movement and lying. The most reliable eye tell or body language tell when it comes to eye movement and lying is, I've learned that if you look up to the right like this is when you access the part of your brain that has to do with imagination and creating visual images and visual imagery. So when you're telling or recalling something and telling somebody about something that happened, or somebody asks you a question, you answer it, and you're looking up, and the person's looking up to the right, they're probably making things up, because why would you have to access your imagination and your visual lobe of your brain if you're telling the truth or exactly what happened? You're not going to be imagining anything. So more than likely, if somebody's talking to you and they're looking up to the right, they're probably making something up, and they're not telling you the truth. There's also another way you can tell when somebody's not really telling you the truth, or they're not really confident about what they're saying, which is when they rub their nose or their eyes or their ears. It's a bit of also a body language tell that they could be lying or not telling the truth. It has to do with some sort of primal evolutionary trait where our body doesn't really feel comfortable when we're not telling the truth. The blood rushes to our nose when we tell our lies, so we rub it. Or we don't really like the situation, or we're not really sure about the situation, and we smell something that's off. It's a very subconscious move. The rubbing eye is also a very obvious one. You don't like what you see. You said something that's not true, or you heard something that you don't think is true. You rub your eyes because, hey, this doesn't seem right. I don't like what I see. If you get what I mean. Also the ears. I don't like what I'm hearing right now, so I'm going to cover my ears. Arm movement is probably for me one of the most obvious body language signals that somebody can give about how they really feel. If you have your arms crossed, it really is like it's really a defensive. It's a really defensive move. It's saying that, hey, I'm very defensive right now. I'm closed off. I'm protecting my heart because I feel like I'm in a vulnerable, dangerous situation. This is a very obvious one. And another one is when you guard your crotch. It's especially for men, you're guarding your crotch because you feel like you're in a vulnerable situation and you're guarding your most vulnerable areas. So it's your heart and it's your your privates. That's why when you see people at parties, if they have a drink, sometimes if they're nervous, they'll hold it right here because they're protecting their heart. It's a subconscious, primal, evolutionary body language thing that people do. They put it here, or if you have your coffee over here or your drink and you're mixing a little drink like this, it most likely means you're nervous. You're in a vulnerable situation. You feel like there might be some sort of danger. You don't feel completely safe. This is a very, very interesting one that I found because people do it all the frickin' time. Like I see people doing this all the frickin' time when they're in a social situation. Don't do that. It's showing that you're nervous, and even if people don't really know, they can still pick it up subconsciously. So I hope you know that now, because you don't want to be at a party looking like you're all nervous and like you don't know what you're doing. Okay, the legs are also a big one that's quite obvious for me. I don't know for other people, but it will become obvious after I tell you these things. But legs really help with a sense of size, right? When you have your legs crossed in a figure four, or you're man spreading with your legs wide apart and you're sitting down, especially for men, it really indicates that you are making yourself bigger, and therefore you're in a very confident stance. You feel confident. You want to make yourself a little bigger so you're more noticeable. You're inviting people to come talk to you because you feel very confident about where you are right now. That's a way you can tell that somebody's feeling pretty good. The other thing is when somebody crosses their legs and they lean back, they lean back and they have their legs crossed, pointed forward. That's also a very confident stance. Now, you can have the same cross-legged thing and it's not necessarily confidence, because if you're making yourself overall smaller while you're crossing your legs, that means you might be nervous or you might be closed off and you don't really like the situation and you're trying to make yourself smaller so you're not seen, so you're less vulnerable to attacks. So this is mostly what I'm going to talk about today with body language. I hope you stay tuned for my next video that I'm going to talk about some more advanced body language tells that you can read so that you can be better at reading people's communication. This is something that I am really excited to share with you. The next one's going to be a little saucy. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you're all doing it well right now. I know it's sometimes a little bit hard with all the craziness going on in the world, but we can get through this, all right? Thank you so much, and I will catch you in the next one. See you later. Bye.